Jeremiah chapter 22. Judgment against evil kings. This is what the Lord says. Go down to the palace of the king of Judah and proclaim this message there. Hear the word of the Lord, O king of Judah, you who sit on David's throne, you, your officials, and your people who come through these gates. This is what the Lord says. Do what is just and right. Rescue from the hand of his oppressor the one who has been robbed. Do no wrong or violence to the alien, the fatherless, or the widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place. For if you are careful to carry out these commands, then kings who sit on David's throne will come through the gates of this palace, riding in chariots and on horses, accompanied by their officials and their people. But if you do not obey these commands, declares the Lord, I swear by myself that this palace will become a ruin. For this is what the Lord says about the palace of the king of Judah. Though you are like Gilead to me, like the summit of Lebanon, I will surely make you like a desert, like towns not inhabited. I will send destroyers against you, each man with his weapons, and they will cut up your fine cedar beams and throw them into the fire. People from many nations will pass by this city and will ask one nation, why has the Lord done such a thing to this great city? And the answer will be, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord their God and have worshipped and served other gods. Do not weep for the dead king or mourn his loss. Rather, weep bitterly for him who is exiled, because he will never return nor see his native land again. For this is what the Lord says about Shallum, son of Josiah, who succeeded his father as king of Judah, but has gone from this place. He will never return. He will die in the place where they have led him captive. He will not see this land again. Woe to him who builds his palace by unrighteousness, his upper rooms by injustice, making his countrymen work for nothing, not paying them for their labor. He says, I will build myself a great palace with spacious upper rooms. So he makes large windows in it, panels it with cedar, and decorates it in red. Does it make you a king to have more and more cedar? Did not your father have food and drink? He did what was right and just, so all went well with him. He defended the cause of the poor and needy, and so all went well. Isn't that not what it means to know me, declares the Lord? But your eyes and your heart are set only on dishonest gain, on shedding innocent blood, and on oppression and extortion. Therefore, this is what the Lord says about Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah. They will not mourn for him. Alas, my brother, alas, my sister. They will not mourn for him. Alas, my master, alas, his splendor. He will have the burial of a donkey, dragged away and thrown outside the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry out. Let your voice be heard in Bashan. Cry out from Abram. For all your allies are crushed. I warned you when you felt secure, but you said, I will not listen. This has been your way from your youth. You have not obeyed me. The wind will drive all your shepherds away, and your allies will go into exile. Then you will be ashamed and disgraced because of all your wickedness. You who live in Lebanon, who are nestled in cedar buildings, how you will groan when pangs come upon you, pain like that of a woman in labor. As surely as I live, declares the Lord, even if you, Jehoiachin, son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were a signet ring on my right hand, I would still pull you off. I will hand you over to those who seek your life, those you fear, to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and to the Babylonians. I will hurl you and the mother who gave you birth into another country where neither of you was born, and there you both will die. You will never come back to the land you long to return to. Is this man, Jehoiachin, a despised broken pot, an object no one wants? Why will he and his children be hurled out, cast into a land they do not know? O land, 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 hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says. Record this man as if childless, a man who will not prosper in his lifetime. For none of his offspring will prosper. None will sit on the throne of David or rule any more in Judah. Wow, there's a lot here. Okay, so listen to this portion right here where he's talking about um the about Judah and Israel. So the go up to Lebanon and cry out, let the voice be heard in Bashan, cry out from Abiram, and for all your allies are crushed. I warned you and you felt secure, but you said, I will not listen. Has been your way from your youth. You have not obeyed me. So he was talking about Israel, like literally coming up out of Egypt, how they were even rebellious in the wilderness. And so, and they were questioning Moses the whole time, which they were questioning not only Moses, but they were questioning the Lord. Here, they just saw all of these wondrous things happen. The plagues, all of these different things that happened. Remember, the Lord took Israel out of Egypt with a strong arm. And not only did he do that, but then he protected them. He was he had a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. And he was their shield. So they leave Egypt and they start complaining. They just start complaining. Let's go back to Egypt. Let's go back to bondage and slavery and being killed. They just literally left. They plundered the Egyptians when they left. So they didn't not just, they had a lot of stuff. They had a lot of goods. They had a lot of jewelry. They had a lot of everything. And so and then they leave. So the Lord protects them. And then they get to have to cross the Nile. They get to cross it they get to cross on dry land. And if anything you hear that I say is incorrect, correct me in the comment section. And so I'm just giving you a rundown. And so even when it comes to that, when they were getting ready to cross and the Lord dried up the river, they were still complaining. Then they get to the other side and they're like, oh, the Egyptians are going to get us. And so the water comes rushing back so that they completely were destroyed. The Egyptians were completely destroyed, all their military might. And of course, Israel didn't see any of that coming. They couldn't predict the future. They couldn't predict that the Lord was going to do that. They didn't know. They were too busy complaining. And then in the wilderness, when they would run out of water, they would complain. They would complain and want to go back to Egypt. When Moses went up to get the 10 Commandments, they made an idol and started worshiping it. The whole time that they were being brought to the promised land, they were in rebellion over and over and over and over again. To the point where the Lord wasn't going to wipe them out completely. He was just like, this generation, I'm going to not let see the promised land. So what happens? The next generation comes up. They make the same covenant. They're going to follow the commands. They're going to follow the Lord. They start going into the promised land. They start defeating the people, but slowly but surely they don't do what the Lord says by by getting the Canaanites out, by destroying them, getting them out. They end up leaving some there, making treaties and pacts with them. And so not only did they do that, but throughout their time in the promised land, they were making treaties and pacts with the other nations, including even Egypt, who enslaved them. Okay, so there's a lot here, right? How can we bring the past to present on this? I wonder how. So we can get into a pattern. We can also get into things when we don't want to do things, when we want to hit the easy button. We start doing things ourselves. We start thinking that, okay, well, I have this idea and I can get it by doing this. And I think this will be the easiest way, because we're human. That's typically how we are. At any time in our seek for a goal, whatever that may be, did we even ask the Lord? Do we request it from the Lord? Do we have a conversation with the Lord? Because the Lord is there at all times. So seek the Lord's guidance, because when we do things, it can, we have to do this thing and then we have to do another thing. We try to create situations where if one thing fails, we try to create safety nets, because if this fails, we'll have something over here to help protect us with. We do that in life. I mean, look at it. Look at things that we do just in life. Having things, some of the things we have to have. Car insurance, some home insurance, things that we have. There's things that you may have to have, but also look at it from a human perspective. Why is that so? Because we fear for things that could happen. We don't know if it's going to happen. It's telling of us how we can't predict the future, no matter how good or what we do in life. It's very telling. But where's our reliance on the Lord? Now, it's okay to have these, it's okay to have these things, because again, what the Lord says, even in the New Testament, what Jesus specifically says to, I believe it's the Pharisees and the Sadducees. I want to say it's the Pharisees about that, or some priests who were against him, and he uses a coin for that. It's okay, but understand that in all things, right? In all things, including those insurances or whatever, bring the Lord and his guidance into our lives. I know it's a lot here. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?